Oh, this is true. So thanks everybody. Welcome to day 2 of Print 17. Shout out to all my peeps in Florida. A moment for them. Okay, so didn't mean to be a downer there, but got to mention it. So today, our first panel today is about software. And I have been talking to a lot of printers, and software and automation seems to be the most topical subject linked to how can they grow their business with devices. It's also how can they grow their business with process improvements, with automation, and with new ways that they can generate money by saving money, quite frankly. So when I speak to them, it seems that the obstacle in their way is literally the fear of change. They don't know what is going to happen. They don't know how long it's going to take. They don't know if it's actually going to be better than what they're currently doing. And they don't know if their print shop is going to go down and they're going to, have to put everything back to normal. And so there's a lot of businesses out there that are fine with the way things are because they don't really understand or aren't really willing to tackle that hurdle of overcoming the change. So that is what this panel is about. It's about overcoming the implementation fear factor. So let's start with Mick from IQ Australia. Who are you? What do you do? And how are you helping your customers make money?
Okay, I'm Mick Rowan from IQ Australia. We have a product called Print IQ. Print IQ is an MWS. So it's a management workflow solution rather than a management information solution. That's not just semantics. It actually is, we're all about the workflow as well as the information. So Print IQ will allow you to quote, run production, outsource, run inventory, everything you do in a print factory. And it doesn't matter what segment you're in. You could be in mailing, in offset, in flexo, in digital, it doesn't matter. We run all segments. But what we do is we work with implementation partners to automate the whole factory. So we can have your customers quote work, pay online, have the files automatically checked, automatically proofed, automatically imposed, and run straight up to the DFE. So you can go straight to the digital front end. The first time you know a job's in is when someone puts paper in a machine. So we go a long way down path. We go a long way upstream. We can go from marketing all the way back through to payment, people tracking their own invoices, people managing their own files. So automation for us is a big part of what we do.
Thanks so much. And Print IQ, no. Actually, I should have turned it off. Print IQ is a first-time Alliance member, so everybody welcome them to the Intergalactic Alliance of the Printiverse, please. Now we have Duncan Ellis from Avanti. Avanti, you've been in my alliance, I think, for 3 or 4 years, so thank you guys so much for your support and for sharing your thought leadership and knowledge with the people of the Printiverse. So who are you, what do you do at Avanti, and how is Avanti helping their customers make money?
Excellent. Good morning, everybody. My name is Duncan Ellis. I'm the Director of Professional Services at Avanti. Basically what we do, we're an MIS provider that helps customers everywhere connect the pools of information so that they can have a seamless end-to-end workflow all the way from job intake out to the end at shipping, invoicing, and shipping. A lot of places inside commercial printers or implants will have sort of islands of information where there's silos of information that aren't talking to each other. What we do is we help eliminate duplication of effort, streamline tasks, and ultimately help customers take cost out of the business by becoming more automated, more process efficient. I'm very interested to continue the discussion because the implementation fear factor is probably one of the biggest things we focus on is trying to help customers get through implementations, and that's my entire focus. So I'm interested to continue the conversation.
Awesome, thank you. Bob from HP, Bob Rouse. Who are you? What do you do? And how is HP helping customers make money through Print OS?
Thank you, Deb. So my name is Bob Rouse, and I am the North American Category Manager for all workflow and also partners, workflow as well as finishing partners for HP North America. And we have a platform on the cloud called Print OS. And Print OS, we launched it at Drupa and about 16 months ago. Since then, we've had well over 3,000 print service providers globally join it, different companies. We have over 7,000 presses connected to it here in North America on each week. Currently, we have about 4,300 people accessing the system, using it daily. So it's something that we're very excited about, but also we're innovating and growing. We're adding new features. Basically, every week or two, there's new things that are there. So how does it help people implement? Basically, it's cloud-based, and so there's no servers to buy. There's no software to load. You open a browser, you access it, and you start using it. And over time, there's no software to upgrade. There's no reason to schedule press downtime and so forth. You can log in today and tomorrow, and there'll be new features, new capabilities. It's self-taught, believe it or not. It's very, we're doing our best to make it as innovative as possible. We do have online help, and before everybody groans and goes, oh, online help, really? The online help in Print OS is kind of setting a new benchmark, Deb, because it's actually helpful. Okay, so the idea that we've broken it down into a lot of self-taught steps and actually guides you, it's called a walk me, takes you step by step how to do things. So Print OS is doing a lot of things that are very different in a different model. We have 11 apps today, we're growing. We'll have 13 by the end of the year. We'll have 15 by the middle of next year. We have today 16 pre-integrated partners, including our good friends here from Avanti. So literally, it's already integrated. All you have to do for your account is connect it and start submitting jobs. And so we're doing our best to innovate, stay ahead of the curve, and it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Bob. Next, we have Lisa Wiese from Canon. Canon, longtime supporter of the Printiverse. Lisa Wiese and I and Tanya actually had an experience where we stalked The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson together at an event. And I'm not saying that somebody stole something, a plant from the hotel or anything, but Robert Plant did have a new home after.
That's right.
So Lisa, who are you? What do you do at Canon? And how is Canon helping people make money through Prisma?
So I'm Lisa Wiese. I'm the Senior Manager for Product Marketing at Canon Solutions America for the Production Print Division out of Boca Raton, Florida. So glad to be here today. You know, Canon as a whole, we have a wide breadth of solutions from both our toner and our inkjet equipment all the way through to our Prisma software suite of products and our professional services. And when you're looking at you know, our main goal, which is driving print and revenue opportunities for our customers, the workflow and the automation really is key. So within our Prisma suite of software products, we can take our customers from a very basic automated process all the way through to a complete ADF type process. And honestly, we don't do it alone. It's not all about Prisma. Prisma is a core to that solution, but we also put a lot of value in with our partners, and we are very close with our partners. We support our partners directly from an implementation perspective, so we really walk hand in hand into the solutions, and we tie it all together with our professional services because you know, that's a key consideration in making everything flow efficiently for the businesses. So we look at it as a holistic solution from start to finish with both the equipment, our partners, our own solutions, and our people.
Thanks so much, Lisa. So Mick, we'll come back to you. The title of this panel is Overcoming the Implementation Fear Factor, so let's just get right to that. How does your company, first of all, address the implementation fear factor, and what support do you offer before, during, and after purchase?
So there's no way to get away from the fear factor because everybody's got a horror story. So if I came to you and told you that there's nothing to be scared of, I'd be lying. The reality is you're going through a major upheaval and it's hard for any business. What we try to do is negate that fear. We try and make it as easy as possible, but we don't pretend it doesn't exist because it is going to be hard. What we do first is we set up an implementation plan that runs for 12 weeks and everything's structured. So down to the hour, we know what we're going to be doing with your guys, and we train as we go. So we're also a cloud-based solution, so we can deploy everything in the cloud and have your site up and branded and set up, ready to go. We can draw down all the machines from our master base system into your system. So within a couple of days, you've got a site that's ready to go, but what we now need to do is get your pricing in. So we set up your operations and we train you about what we're doing. So within 6 weeks, we have your factory completely built, your virtual factory, and we do that ourselves with the help of your team players. After 6 weeks, you're testing the system and we're in there watching. And because we've got people in all time zones, it doesn't matter when you want to do it. If you're particularly keen to get up at 4 in the morning and work, we'll have someone at 4 in the morning to work with you because of the time zones we can cover. The fact that it's cloud-based, as we're updating, we're releasing directly to your site. Everything that we deploy, we can deploy from any one of our regions, and then we can deal with you at any time. So the main thing about it is that we can manage with you and work into your zones. It's important too that we get buy-in from internals. The hardest thing about implementing anything is having people that are too busy to do what they need to do. At some time you've got to allocate time, and you guys have all got print shops, you know how hard it is to get time in a print shop, but once you give that time up and get into the system, the benefits you get are enormous. So within 12 weeks you'll start to see enormous benefits from implementing the system.
Thank you so much. Duncan, same question. How is Avanti helping their customers address the implementation fear factor, and what support do you offer before, during, and after purchase?
Thank you, Deb. That's a great question. MIS is a very, very complex piece of software, and you probably all woke up this morning and you could think of 40 things you'd rather do than change your MIS system today. So one of the things that we start with customers all the time is really, really strong expectation setting, trying to help them understand what they are about to embark on. It can be at times a little like changing the wiring in your house and not turning the power off. So you have to approach it with some care, some thought, and some expectation that things aren't always going to go exactly the way you want them to. The communication, as Mick said, is critical. We have a project plan that's laid out, but the other piece of the project plan is, particularly with our implementations, we have to be flexible. We have to be able to adjust the project plan to resource constraints, as Mick mentioned. Everybody's in the print industry, you typically don't have an extra body sitting around that's looking to do MIS work 100% of their time. So we're always having to be flexible around our customers' abilities to meet the expectations. We have an on-premises offer as well as a cloud offer to help reduce some of the load on customers. We also have an implementation plan where we train the customers and they build the system. We also have one where we build it for them, which can help short track the implementation. We assign an implementation specialist to the client who gets to know the business very well. All of my implementation specialists have probably an average of 20 to 25 years in the print industry. And then after the implementation is stood up and customers have gone live, we have a dedicated support rep along with a dedicated support team that will work with the customer, who then gets to know the customer. And I think the biggest or most important piece of this is recognizing there is justified fear in this, and that you're going to hit bumps, and you've got to make sure that you've got the right people, right partners you're working with, and that they will help you get through them.
Thanks so much. It's funny. I'm actually surprised that you guys all agreed that they should be scared to death. Like, I like that. I like the honesty in the Printiverse. So thank you. I applaud it. I applaud that. Bob, how is HP addressing the implementation fear factor, and what support are you offering before, during, and after? I don't know. Purchase is probably not the right word for you, but adoption.
Fair enough. So first thing to know, I mentioned, I think that PrintOS has 11 apps today, and we're growing. 7 of those 11 are included with your press monthly maintenance contract. So there is no additional cost for those 7. Those are focused, of course, on the press, helping you understand what's happening with the press, give you more information to make better decisions. One of those, for example, is our mobile app. And the mobile app gives you the ability to see what's on the press right now, if it's up or down, how many pages you've printed. So you could be sitting here right now in the Printerverse and have full visibility into what's happening in your shop from here and from the airport and from anywhere else. You can see if service calls are open or closed. You can see, for example, availability over the last several weeks and lots of other things through the mobile app. So that's one. And as far as adoption and so forth, it's as easy as basically going to the Google Play Store or Apple iTunes and or iStore and download the app and install it. The cost of entry is basically having an HP graphics press. And one of the things to really emphasize, I think, is that the system also can output to other devices. So it's not just, an HP thing. We're very much interested in and focused on helping our customers grow. We make the best of what we do, we believe, but we know there's other things too. And so we can output to offset, we can output to other digital devices. So we're very much open there. So as far as, adoption and things, one of the things that our approach is really to kind of modularize it. And so, it's not like all one big elephant you have to eat. It's take it piece by piece. Look at the apps, see what can help you next, get involved. And of those 7 that are no charge, we have online videos, it's training. Basically, it's yours for the taking. So the other 4 are subscription-based. And so those, while the first 7 are mainly about helping you get more out of the printers and presses you already own, the next 4 actually help you grow your business, bring in more work, do more automation, and so forth. 3 out of those 4, again, are very simple, self-deployment, watch some videos, kind of like that YouTube model. Hey, I need to know how to do this, so I watch a 3-minute video and I'm off and running. Okay, so very easy to adopt. The 4th is a little more complicated. It's a production management system, but it's not rocket science, and we actually implement it with you. We have a services team that's, again, very reasonable. For $2,500. We can get you up and running in 30 days. 30 days means basically you're bringing in jobs. It could be hundreds, thousands, even we've had customers do 5,000, 8,000 jobs a day through this system. It's called SiteFlow, PrintOS SiteFlow. And it's all about basically opening up the business to consumer type market. If you think right now, in a month or 2, everybody will be taking a photo with their family and their dog and their cat, and they'll be sending out holiday cards to all the people they know and love. So everybody in the commercial print space that I've talked to says, man, I wish I could do that. I wish I could, take advantage of that. But I can't manage 1,000 orders a day. How do I do that? And the answer is you can actually through PrintOS and this app that we have called SiteFlow. So it's very affordable, by the way, no capital investments, easy to implement, pay for what you use, and as you grow, it grows with you, ultimately scalable. So I'm hoping I covered most of what you're asking for there.
Yes, you did. Thanks so much.
So fantastic.
Lisa, same question. How does Canon address the implementation fear factor, and what support do you offer before, during, and after purchase? And is it a separate purchase for Canon customers, or is it included?
Okay. So just like everybody else, has said already on this panel, there's definitely a fear factor involved. And the reason being, when you look at the Canon's typical customer, the print stream is their revenue. And if you're going to implement a new process or a new solution, there's fear that revenue stream is going to be down for some point in time while this new process is getting put into place. So there is a definite fear. I think one of the ways that Canon pulls together their solution and helps eliminate some of that fear really does start right at the beginning, and that's putting in a plan of approach. And that plan of approach is where we bring together all the shareholders and stakeholders of what the solution is and who's going to be affected by them. And we really sit down and we detail out, here's what your situation is today. Here's where your situation is going to go. We gain agreement on that, but it goes beyond that. It's just not what you're going to want to do tomorrow, but it's going to be what you want to do into the future, because it just doesn't stop as soon as you implement a solution. It's an ongoing thing. I think once you gain that agreement, as I think someone had mentioned it earlier, that's extremely important. And then you put your plan into place. We certainly, as I mentioned the first go around, we have a lot of professional services that are there for you, whether it's our project management team, our implementation team, we have our color management team and our software support teams, all to come together in order to make sure that the solution is running and that your business processes are optimized as soon as possible. But we also know that as you go through this process, things, and I think it was mentioned earlier as well, things change. So people have to understand that while you put a plan in place and you come to an agreement, you also have to be flexible enough to understand that you might need to take that slight U-turn in the middle of the project in order to better address some things that you didn't anticipate right up front. Because quite frankly, no one can anticipate everything. That's just impossible. So you just have to work through those changes and keep that communication open, whether it's with your partners, your customer, the IT department, your printer department, and it will all turn out in the end and work out just fine. I think that's it.
Thanks so much. So every Wednesday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, I host Print Chat. And what I do is I ask the community for the topics that they're interested in, and that's how I formulate the panel topics. And then I ask them what they would ask a bunch of experts on these topics, and they basically give me questions. So I am here, I call myself the intergalactic ambassador to the Printerverse, because what I do is I help bridge that gap. So pretty much after setting the tone of the panel, all the questions I have now are from actually the community. And collectively, I have to say that they're still a bit skeptical that any improvements are actually going to save them or make such a difference in their revenue that it's worth overcoming this change. So starting with you, Lisa, and then we'll come back down this way. Is there a provable ROI with the implementation of your workflow solutions? And what features set yours apart from the rest?
Start with me on a hard one.
It's from the people. They don't mess around. The people are serious about their software.
So there definitely is an ROI when you're looking at automating any process. When we talk about the fear factor earlier, one of the fears is when you automate, you also then potentially eliminate roles and responsibilities within an organization as well. So in some cases, you do have that manpower reduction. It may not be fully reducing someone's position out of an organization, but it could be enabling you to put them in a different role that can better drive your organization to increase revenues. As far as specific features and functions, if you take a look at Prisma Production, which is our workflow output management workflow tool that we have, really the features and functions in that, and I think Bob mentioned, is it's very open architecture. We can take in any data formats on the front end. We can output to any data format that's necessary. We can drive not only our Canon OSE presses for both cut sheet and continuous toner and inkjet, but also our all of our other colleagues' presses as well. So I think having that flexibility is key. And then being able to tie in, as I mentioned, to our partners. The philosophy we take at Canon is we can't be everything to everybody. So we really do focus in on strategically core software products that really help enable the presses produce profit and pages. So we rely on our partners, quite frankly, to help fill in those gaps. And within Prisma Production, we have a very simplified connector to be able to work with the various partners that are out there. And for some of you who may be interested in finding out more about that, on our website, we do have an area where you can go and you can connect with our technical resources who can work with SDKs and JDF file formats to test it with our Prisma Production solution to make sure that, if you're putting a solution in where Prisma Production is already in place, that your software will work in conjunction and have a lot of that legwork done in advance of implementation, or just offering additional values to your customers by having those relationships.
Thanks, Lisa. Bob?
Thank you. So from an ROI perspective, because 7 out of the 11 apps within PrintOS are no charge, the idea is that are they worth even spending time to learn? So several of those apps, including the mobile one I just showed you, give you the ability to see real-time status of your presses, what's happening, but also historical information. And so you can very much measure over months and years. We started on this day with this app, and so what's happened? And so it's very easy to get that information. It can be downloaded to a CSV, and you can leverage that to analyze and take a look at not only usage, let's say, but also improvements in press utilization, in number of jobs processed, in the number of sheets that are printed and or linear feet on our web presses. And so you can quite clearly, measure and get that data. It's all at your fingertips right through the system. So, beyond that, the idea that people invest, of course, time to understand the different apps, let's say, and where to start. Not everybody's using every app, and so that's fine with us. We are doing our best to improve things. We're actually able to take let's say suggestions, improvements, and so forth, feedback. Since Drupa, and about every 3 months we've done major releases, but at this point the major release every 90 days model is too slow. So we're actually implementing new features constantly, rolling them out. And since Drupa last year, we've actually made 180 improvements and new additions and new capabilities in the system. And the cloud-based model really enables us to do that quickly. Over half of those were based on direct customer feedback. We like this, we don't like that, we need the button here, we want to be able to do that. And we're able to respond and get that information. We have a way to provide that feedback through the system directly. Bob. Sorry?
No,
and,
thanks.
So we're happy to do that.
Thank you. Duncan, same question.
Same question.
I can repeat it. Is there a provable ROI with the implementation of Avanti? And what features set yours apart from the rest?
Awesome, thanks. Most definitely there is a provable ROI with Avanti. Really what we're doing is we're giving printers the ability to have run their business from a single database. And from that perspective, you're then able to leverage all the data points. The most obvious area for ROI, as has been mentioned, is obviously in headcount. How many CSRs are involved in manual data entry and entering jobs? Are you having to rekey data to get jobs onto the shop floor, that sort of thing? Are you billing every job? I think that's a critical question that people have to ask. Is everything we're doing getting billed accurately? And did I actually make any money on that job I printed? So with Avanti, we're able to not only ensure all the jobs are in the system and billed through our invoicing module, but then you're also able to leverage all the data points inside. So we're JDF certified, so we're able to capture data that comes back from your production machines in a lot of instances that will then give you accurate job costing. So you're then able to go back in and realize where am I making my profit? So the ROI is definitely there. It's simply a matter of making the commitment to find where the hard cost savings are, but they're absolutely there.
Thank you so much. Mick?
So there's definitely ROI with PrintIQ. We make a huge difference to what companies are doing right now. And again, the staff savings, maybe they're repurposed into a better role, but taking the heat off the estimators by having simplified quoting. And again, I'll explain simplified quoting. Once we create a virtual factory, we can then put a simplified layer over the top. And you might call it child proofing or even idiot proofing in sometimes. It allows anybody to do a quote. And that can be down to non-skilled operators or even customers. And by doing that, obviously there's a huge gain. So estimators then concentrate on the work that's worth a lot of money, and a lot of the other stuff we apply the 80-20 rule. So a lot of work can be quoted by non-skilled operators. Now the beauty of that is once a job comes into the system, the quote formulates the basis for the job and creates a production path. So as soon as we quote a job or a customer quotes a job in PrintIQ, the production path and job ticket's already made. Now somebody can start that job from an on-screen touch, they can start it from a scanning app, or they can start it from a barcode. So all the data is recorded all the way through the system. Every touch point of that job is recorded and reported on. So as a senior manager, you can have a look at your factory down to the most detailed level of who is actually stitching a job on the floor right now, from live from your smartphone. So that kind of data frees you up from the business. You can be anywhere to access data about your factory. And the way PrintIQ is accessed, being a cloud-based system, is user-right driven, so everybody has a slightly different view of the factory. So what's happening is everybody's being able to access the factory, being able to see the data, reporting on the data, and the savings, again, by passing off that estimator to CSRs, they can quote faster, there's no re-entry of data, which means there's a saving. So, you know, quite often in our pre-press environment, we will save a couple of people out of pre-press because we've automated the file checking, we've automated the imposition, we've automated it all the way to a digital press. Again, in a plate making sense, somebody starts it when they make plates. So there's huge savings to be had. And again, the rest of the panelists covered a lot of the same points that we cover, that there's gains made. Again, it's about fear factor. So yes, there's a bit of work to get started, but if you cleanse your data when you then set up in PrintIQ, the road ahead is golden, actually. So, yeah.
Thanks. I have actually, we have a printer in the front row. His name is Jamie McLennan. He's from Allegra Princeton, right? And he's actually here to watch panels and ask real printer questions. So Jamie, you have a question for the panel. Microphone. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, so one of the fears I think printers have is that they're not going to be able to make
Louder.
suggestions
Yeah.
to the process that you're putting in. It's not like, is it a one size fits all? Can we make edits? Can we tailor it to us? That's, I think, one of the things we think about.
And now
Anybody.
just a discussion.
For the whole panel.
Discussion now.
The answer to your question is yes. Our solutions at Canon, there is no one size fits all. And it really could start with the smallest solution and go all the way up into a multi-year installation. Yes, we sit down and we understand what do you want to accomplish? What are your strategic goals? Where do you want to be, as I mentioned today, but tomorrow? And how can we help you get there? So it's definitely customizable to what your specific needs are.
I'll add to that. One of the questions that we're always interested in finding out is how open is the customer to process improvement? Do they want to put an MIS system in that's going to continue to do things the way they've always done it, or are they open to seeing what are the best practices, what else is potentially available? So that's one of the first questions that we ask. We are absolutely customizable. It's one of our greatest differentiators. We will customize pretty much anything that we're asked to do for customers. The challenge with that is it's going to take a modification of the software, and that typically will prolong the implementation. So that's where we start talking about how can we phase things to make it a little less arduous in terms of the length of the process. So it's absolutely customizable, but if you're asking for a big change, it's going to take time and money.
Again, for us, we are completely customizable as well. We actually have an area inside PrintIQ, which is a feature request section. So people can come in and actually suggest what it is they'd like to add to the product. And we have a monthly R&D meeting where we take all of those requests and go through and list what's going to make it. A lot of those make it straight into the product without any cost to the customer. Some of them that are more detailed, we might come back and say, great feature for the product, we love it. It's going to take this long to implement. If you're prepared to wait for that lead time, no charge. But if there's a screaming urgency for it, even in those cases, we'll quite often absorb 60% of the cost of the extra, pass on 40. The only time we really charge any real deep, higher level of charge is when it's a bad idea. Unfortunately, some people have ideas that are so specific to their environment, and we'll still do it. We'll still help you do a bad idea if it's really important to your business, because sometimes we just can't talk you out of it. We try and show you other options, but what we'll do is we'll enable it in Print IQ, and only your business sees it. And we've done some things for customers that personally I think are terrible, but it's the way their business works, and they're just not adaptable to change. And if we can't, we're not going to try and make you do something that you don't want to do. So.
Thanks. Bob, do you want to add to that?
It's a really great point there. There are some things at times that people are doing, and they've grown up that way. They've always done it that way. They want the new system to do it that way. So I think part of the challenge, from I'll say a vendor's perspective, is finding people that are willing to innovate with the new software. They know they need to change. They know that they need to grow. They know that they need to adopt and adapt. But there's always that little bit of resistance because nobody really likes to change. So I think that the ability for people to realize they have a high-level sponsor in the organization that's going to take ownership, and when there's resistance within the organization, which I'm sure is in every organization, that there's somebody driving hard from the top, and making sure that as objections come up, they're evaluated, and working with the expert that you've hired, any of us or others, and really tapping into their knowledge and expertise and their experience, because I'm sure everybody's objective is to try and make our customers as successful as possible.
Thanks so much. Do you have another question?
A few things that a printer should look for when they're deciding to go to this route. What are the 3 things that they need to do before we even talk to you? What are 3 things that we should have in our mind set before we talk to you guys and get ready for this system to be in place?
I think it's really important that you're comfortable with the vendor. If you get an ill feeling about the vendor, you should look for another vendor, because it's a relationship that it has to be a relationship. There can't be resentment between the customer and the vendor. So number one, you've got to feel right about who you're dealing with. That's important. And do your due diligence. Personally, I don't want a customer that doesn't want to work with us, because it's going to be too hard. So you go out, in our case, we'll always put you on to other customers and let you contact them, you talk to them, and get the real feedback, because you've got to know that you can trust us. Trust is the most important part about this.
Thanks. Avanti?
Yeah, Mick, I'll piggyback on the trust part. That's obviously critical. You've got to be comfortable as making this kind of decision that the people that you're going to be working with are going to be with you through the entire process and will support you throughout. I think one of the things that's really critical is if a printer's looking at doing an MIS implementation, they need to look at the team that they've got. Is there stability in your team? Is there stability in the leadership? If you're looking at making a change...
That's a fantastic point, actually.
Thank you. If you're looking at making a change to your leadership or in one of the critical roles inside of estimating or counting, it may not be the time to take on this project. It's very critical that you've got people in place that are going to be there for a while, understand your processes, but and this may be the other thing that you need to do, understand where the opportunities are for change inside your business. Where are things working well? Where would you like to see improvement? So have those in mind, that we can then you can begin when you're starting to talk to vendors. How can you guys help me in these particular areas? Because everyone will tell you they can do everything.
Thanks so much. Bob, HP?
So I would say top 3 things are sponsorship, to make sure that as you run into issues, barriers, resistance, that somebody's got that vision and they're going to see it through. Next is commitment, to actually get it done and not get sidetracked or get waylaid somewhere along the way. And a third, and maybe the most important thing, is to identify a specific person and one person in the organization that owns it, that it's their job, and if it goes well, they're going to succeed, and if it doesn't, they're not going to succeed. Ownership is, I think, a critical thing in any amount of change. And so, of course, that person needs the sponsorship and commitment of the whole entire organization. But, you know, that one person, it's not 3 people, 5 people that are pointing at each other and, oh, I was late, and no, who is it? So, and I think that, you know, when you can distill it down to those 3 things, that 9 times out of 10, you probably have a successful project.
Thanks. Lisa?
So the benefit of going last is I agree with everybody. I definitely think that starting with somebody, as you had, Bob, mentioned, sponsorship within the organization is absolutely critical. You really need somebody that will drive these types of projects. And again, having that one person who's going to keep it moving along, I'd like to say they help execute, but also they're accountable. So they've got the accountability to make sure that people do stay on their timelines, that you do have all the various stakeholders engaged, and that you've done your research up front. And again, it comes back to that trust factor. You have to feel comfortable working with the people, the vendors that are in place to help you get the solution implemented.
So the Printiverse is really about getting to understand the companies behind their logos and behind their booth numbers, and by having these conversations and getting the questions from the communities. And you guys did an awesome job doing that. So thank you so much. Excellent panel. Thank you to the audience. Thanks to everyone at home for watching and who will watch later. And at 12:30, Canon is having an event here, and there's a complimentary lunch. Hello, free lunch, and a really cool panel, customer panel. Jamie, you're actually on the panel, and we're going to talk about Project Peacock too. So stick around, we'll come back, and thanks so much for joining us.